everybody, it's me again. I know it's been a long time since I've given you an update. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about goals, but then also balancing those goals with self-care. I've had a habit over time to be so set on my goals that I don't allow myself any flexibility in reaching them, and it's gotten me into a pickle more than a few times when I bite off more than I can chew. One of those goals that I might have bitten off more than I can chew is my 2021 goal of walking 1,000 miles. So the plan was just to track my daily steps, track my walks, and see if I couldn't, get 1,000 miles racked up for the year. Now, I made about 500 miles walking in 6 months, but that was also through, the summer and fall months when it's warmer. I'm finding now that it's a lot harder to get those miles because although I walk a lot at school, I don't make it as far on my elliptical that I might make it walking outside. And there's going to be some days here in January and February where it's icy outside and I can't walk outside. So I'm learning that I need to be flexible with that goal and not, overdo it and hurt myself just trying to get those steps that I want to get every day. The first piece of advice I have then about goals, and I'm taking my own advice here, is that sometimes you need to modify what you can reasonably expect of yourself. This whole challenge that I'm doing is for the whole year of 2021. So although I can't extend the time frame, I'm finding that I might have to decrease the distance ever so slightly, and I'm gonna have to be okay with that because, I can only do what I can do. The second thing I would say, though, is just don't be afraid to modify a goal or go after a different goal that might fit you better at that particular point in time. If I know that I'm not going to be getting as many steps right now, that's okay. But one of the other things that I can work on is working other types of exercise into my routine. So I'm not necessarily giving up on my original goal, but I'm just looking for some other things that I can do to stay healthy. So don't be afraid to change it up when something isn't working at that point in time. The second goal then that I'm going to work on while the 2021 challenge is on the sidelines is I'm working in other forms of exercise right now. I'm working on biking some further distances, and I'm also working in some aerobics with my Wii to just try to stay active when the weather's colder. The next piece of advice I would have is just to be patient with yourself. I'm finding as I'm mixing in these other forms of exercise, I'm a lot more tired and I'm sore, and I've been frustrated about that for the last few weeks, especially with going back to work after a long Christmas break. I really found that I bit off more than I could chew with walking a bunch at school. Then I'm coming home, I'm trying to, walk or bike and fit all of that in. And it's okay to just take a rest day. I should have taken some rest days during the first week of school that I didn't take. So I learned my lesson, and then last week, which was my second week back to school, I had to take several rest days to try and adjust to being on my feet all day again. This week is the third week back to school, and I'm finally just now feeling like, okay, I know that I'm walking more at school, and I figured out about how much I can bike or walk after school to make it work. But don't be afraid to modify that. Don't be afraid to give yourself a rest day until you figure out what types of exercise and what quantity of exercise is something that you can handle at a certain point. Don't be me and overdo it, because I made for a miserable first week of school trying to do too much. The funny thing about goals is sometimes we think that it's a linear process. You have this goal and you do step A, step B, step C, and you get to the goal. Sometimes, though, life doesn't go according to plan, and we just have to be willing to care about ourselves enough to examine the situation and decide what steps are the most important to take next. It's something that I'm still working on, so this video, more than advice to all of you, is really advice to myself just to remind myself that it's okay to modify the goals that I have. It's okay to give myself more time to reach a goal. It's okay to completely change my goal if the goal that I have isn't what I need right now. And it's certainly okay to be patient because patience really is something that I struggle with a lot. But if I can remember those three things, I think that I'm going to be a lot more successful in reaching my goals because I'm going to be paying attention to my own needs while I'm working on those goals. If we ignore our own needs and don't practice any sort of self care, we're not going to reach those goals. We're going to find ourselves frustrated because we're not giving ourselves the grace that we need to get there. We have to be patient with ourselves and we have to be flexible. But one other good thing to remember is that the best goals are not to be better than anybody else, but to be better than the version of ourselves that we were yesterday.